212.
Ladies and gentlemen, right now, we want to bring forth to the stage a very special guest, the undisputed.
Nah, son, baby. And this is another episode.
Can't help but swing it, boy. Swing it, brother, swing.
And this is your host. Nah, son, baby. Here we go. Microphone check 1 2 1 2. This is your host, not son, baby, and this is another episode of Swingers After Dark. You know, I want to clarify some misinformation out there that was brought forth by the media in regards to Plato's Retreat. Now, Plato's Retreat was a swing club in the 1970s in New York City. It was like the Studio 54 of swinging. You understand me? And you know, the media, they like to put together propaganda pieces by saying Plato's Retreat was, you know, a place, a prostitution ring, a place where people turn tricks and buy dick and pussy. And first of all, it's like selling ass is taboo in the swing lifestyle. It's a no-no. You understand me? So Plato's Retreat wasn't about turning tricks. It wasn't about prostitution. It had nothing to do with pimping and hoeing. You understand me? And secondly, they say, well, Plato's Retreat, it was a homosexual club. Second of all, you know, it caught a lot of flack. Plato's Retreat caught a lot of flack by not allowing gay men in the club. So how can you be a place for homosexuals when the owners did not allow gay men in the club? Now, yeah, that's a double standard. You know, a lot of couples and men, they prefer lesbians, you know, gay women. Yeah, that's a double standard. At the same time, you know, they did not allow gay men. So I'm more so touching on the propaganda, the news propaganda about Plato's Retreat, which had led to its demise. You know, New York City has shut the club down due to, you know, the rise of, you know, people had this phobia about HIV and AIDS and whatnot. So, you know, the mayor of New York City shut down the club. You know, this was like the 1980s when they shut down the club. And it was almost as if the news had used the propaganda piece to help shut down the club. You know, people had this gay phobia, people had this AIDS phobia, and they correlated, you know, AIDS with the homosexual community. So you put that together with the swing club and boom, you have a dynamite of fuckery. You understand me? So, you know, without further ado, you know, I want to present these clips about Plato's Retreat, you know, the infamous swing club in New York City. And on that note, enjoy.
This is WPIX New York.
One of the most famous swinging sex clubs in New York City has been closed down. Plato's Retreat never opened for business tonight. The city had closed it down on charges of prostitution.
This is INN, the independent news.
Good evening. I'm Sheila Steinbach.
And I'm Marvin Scott. Morton Dean is off tonight.
It's just 2 weeks since the city first closed down a homosexual sex club for not following new state regulations aimed at stopping the spread of AIDS. Tonight, as an outgrowth of this investigation into high-risk sex that may spread the deadly disease, the city closed the doors to Plato's Retreat. Mary Murphy is standing by live at Plato's Retreat. Mary, what's the reaction?
Well, Larry Levinson, the owner of Plato's Retreat, is obviously not very happy about the move that the city has taken. He told me that his club was supposed to open tonight at 9 p.m., but at 8:30, attorneys from the city's Corporation Council arrived with papers to shut it down. Mr. Levinson is here with me now. What reason did they give you for closing Plato's Retreat?
The reason they gave was for prostitution.
Do you promote prostitution here?
We don't allow prostitution on our premises. We never have, and I always said we never will. Prostitution does not coincide with the swinging concept of the open lifestyle of swinging, and it never will. And if I allowed prostitution on my premises, then my swinging couples would not come down to Plato's.
We were told that undercover city investigators came to this club and observed prostitutes soliciting customers. What do you say to that?
They are liars, damn liars. And I was on the premises that night, and they took girls right out of here that were on a dance floor by themselves and gave them the charge of prostitution. One of these ladies happened to be a very close friend of mine, and she never solicited a man in her life.
Mayor Koch is in Japan tonight. He said he was very happy that this move was taken. What do you say to Mayor Koch?
If Mayor Koch says that, he's an idiot. As far as I'm concerned, they closed up sexual freedom in this country tonight at Plato's Retreat. I will be in court Tuesday to fight these charges, and I hope that at least the courts of New York are legitimate, not like the police department.
Several weeks ago, you got a letter from the city asking you to submit guidelines for promoting safer sexual practices here to avoid the spread of AIDS. How are you planning to avoid spreading AIDS?
I did everything the city asked me to do. I put up signs, I hired extra security, and we didn't allow anal sex or fellatio on our premises. As far as that goes, this has nothing to do with it. Less than 1% of the AIDS cases are in heterosexuals. Hi, swingers. We're Larry and Mary, co-owners of Plato's Retreat, the only on-premise swing club in New York.
We're a couples-only private chartered club. On our premises, we have 3 separate air-conditioned swing rooms, 2 whirlpools, disco music, and a lounge area with sofas and pillows.
There is absolutely no pressure at our club.
Larry Levinson created Plato's Retreat. He was a slob, he was a coke user.
He was a D's, them, and those kind of dummy of a guy. He and his wife at the time had little swing parties. It was in the air privately, and somehow they parlayed that into a public club, the first so-called swing club, and soon to become the most successful one ever.
You might go to Plato's Retreat, and you'd look into the orgy room, and there'd be literally 100 people, a sea of naked bodies having sex.
This was at the height of the disco era, so Plato's was indeed like a disco.
Plato's Retreat was like Studio 54 in the sense that it was also cost-free. No AIDS, no addiction, no law enforcement interference. Sex is good, sex is great. Sex with anonymous strangers allows you to fulfill fantasies that only a multimillionaire might otherwise be able to.
I would go to Plato's Retreat, and everyone went there for the sex. Sometimes the coke. I wasn't a big drug user, but I went there for the buffet.
Very good buffet. I personally like the buffet better than sex at Plato's Retreat.
I think people were really interested in sexual exploration.
And seeing 200 couples having sexual intercourse on the big mattress, it was paradise. It was sex at its best, and I was part of it.
Larry Levinson, what made you organize, originate Plato's Retreat?
Couples that want to be free-thinking, free-living adult couples. They don't believe in monogamous relationships. They would rather get involved with other people, but together with their spouses.
You do it in public view, and you mix it up with strangers. Isn't there something very sick about that?
It's certainly not sick. It is a victimless activity.
Why is it? No, I find it revolting.
We had a contest. The argument was, because Larry was a blowhard, was how many times could he come? And the bet was that Larry could come 12 times in 15 hours, ejaculate. I didn't think he could do it.
Very quickly, there was $10,000 in a pot betting against that. He was like a machine. People were amazed. There's number 6, number 7. Al Goldstein left before number 10. He couldn't take it anymore.
And Larry not only won, he actually came 15 times in 13 hours, and in between the hour when he was allowed to sort of rest, he'd get blowjobs in his private room.
Everybody has sexual fantasies. Now here's a place where you can live your fantasies.
Friends will come into town, they want to show them the greatest show in New York City, and they go.
It is the greatest show in New York City?
I'll say
by your definition?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was almost a kind of perversion of the whole idea of free love. It was almost disgusting, the flesh and the hair and the bodily fluids that were everywhere, and an absolute cesspool of rampant sexuality, much of it being carried out by people you would never want to have sex with.